Imagine the dense, chilling fog of a Normandy dawn on August 7, 1944, slowly parting like a reluctant curtain over fields scarred by weeks of brutal fighting. The air hums with the low, menacing growl of engines, hundreds of them, as German Panzer tanks creep forward, their massive treads churning the earth into mud. These aren't just machines, they're the iron hearts of the Third Reich's desperate gamble. Sleek Panthers with their sloped armor, invincible Tigers armed with fearsome 88mm guns, and the weary crews inside, men who've stared death in the face from Poland to the Russian steppes. They believe this is it, the counterattack that will crush the Allied invasion and send the Americans scrambling back to their landing beaches. But in a mere 7 hours, 175 of these steel behemoths will lie as smoldering ruins, their crews scattered in agony or silence, all because of one catastrophic mistake that turned ambition into apocalypse. What was that fatal error? How did it unravel into a symphony of fire and despair? Hold on. Tight, this isn't just history, it's a heart-wrenching saga of human folly, heroism, and heartbreak that will leave you breathless. The stage is set in the hedgerows and hills of Normandy, where the Allied D-Day landings 2 months earlier have morphed into a grinding stalemate. But then, Operation Cobra unleashes hell. American forces blast through at St. Lo, and General George S. Patton's Third Army surges forward like a wildfire, gobbling up French countryside. The Germans are reeling, their lines fracturing. In his distant wolf's lair, Adolf Hitler rages against the tide. "We must strike now," he bellows to his generals, his voice echoing with delusional fury. "Cut off the Americans at Avranches, trap them against the sea." Field Marshal Gunther von Kluge, the man tasked with this madness, feels the weight of impossibility. His armies are depleted, fuel scarce, and the skies? The skies belong to the Allies. The once mighty Luftwaffe is a ghost, its planes shot down or grounded. Yet, Hitler demands speed. Surprise launch at night, push through dawn. Von Kluge protests weakly, air cover is vital. But the Führer's will is iron. Operation Lüttich is born. 4 elite panzer divisions, 1 1st SS Leibstandard, 2nd Panzer, 2nd SS Das Reich, and 1/16th Panzer mustered with over 300 tanks and assault guns. Thousands of soldiers, from grizzled veterans to frightened conscripts, prepare for glory or grave. As midnight strikes, the columns roll out under cover of darkness, engines muffled, hearts pounding. They overrun initial American outposts, seizing the heights around Mortain. Elation surges through the ranks. "We've got them," whispers a young tank loader to his commander. But as the first light creeps in, so does doubt. The roads are narrow, the fields open. And above, the Allied eagles wait. Picture young Oberleutnant Hans Müller, 24 years old, commanding a Panther tank in the lead column of Das Reich. Hans isn't a fanatic, he's a farm boy from Bavaria, drafted into this nightmare. His crew Fritz the driver, with his quick jokes to ease tension. Karl the gunner, steady as a rock, and young Wilhelm, barely 18, loading shells with trembling hands. They've become his family. As they rumble westward, Hans scans the horizon to his cupola, the cool air whipping his face. This could be our chance to end it, he thinks, remembering letters from home about bombed cities and hungry siblings. The advance feels unstoppable at first. They brush aside a few American patrols, the crack of their guns echoing like thunder. Mortain falls quickly, its church steeple a silent witness. But then the fog burns off, revealing the German formations in stark daylight, long, snaking lines of tanks, half-tracks and trucks crammed with ammo and fuel. Vulnerable. Exposed. Here's the mistake that dooms them, ignoring the absolute dominion of Allied air power. Hitler and his staff dismissed it, betting on speed over caution. The Luftwaffe's promised fighters? A pitiful handful, outnumbered 10-1 by RAF Typhoons, P-47 Thunderbolts, and Mustangs prowling the skies. Recon planes spot the advance by 7 a.m. Allied radios buzz, large enemy armor concentration coordinates follow, ground controllers vector in the strikes. The Germans have walked into a killing field. But the true horror? It's just beginning. Can you feel the chill as the first engine roars overhead? If tales like this, where ordinary men face extraordinary doom, grip your soul as they do mine. And if you're tuning in on Battleship Tales, hit that like button now and subscribe. It fuels more stories of valor and tragedy, keeping history alive. The clock ticks to 9 a.m. High above, Squadron Leader James Johnny Baldwin of No. TD, 174th Squadron RAF grips his Typhoon stick, eyes narrowing on the ground below. Johnny's no stranger to death. He's lost wingmen over the channel, seen friends plummet in flames. But today, the sight is a pilot's dream or a tanker's nightmare. Miles of German vehicles jammed on roads barely wide enough for two abreast. "Tally-ho, chaps," he calls over the radio, his voice calm but edged with adrenaline. "Panzers aplenty, let's give 'em hell." His squadron dives, 12 Typhoons screaming down at 400 miles per hour. Each carries 8 60-pound rockets tipped with armor-piercing warheads. Johnny picks a lead Tiger, its massive form unmistakable. He lines up, thumbs the firing button. Whoosh, rockets streak out, trailing smoke. The first hits the turret, punching through like divine judgment. The Tiger erupts in a fireball, its ammo detonating in secondary blasts that shake the earth. Crewmen spill out, one aflame, rolling in agony. Hans Muller's Panther is nearby. He hears the explosions, feels the ground tremble. "A care craft," he shouts, slamming the hatch. Fritz guns the engine, veering off-road into a field. But it's too late for many. Wave after wave hits 300 sorties in 7 hours, a relentless aerial hammer. Typhoons from No. WWII, 83 Group, Squadrons 121, 175, 245 Ashes tum 350 rocket salvos, each a storm of destruction. A Panzer IV takes a hit to the engine, black smoke billowing as its crew abandons ship, dodging machine guns strafing from follow-up runs. The air fills with the stench of cordite, burning oil, and fear. Down on the ground, chaos reigns. SS Sturmbannführer Otto Weiss of Das Reich barks orders from his command half-track. "Disperse! Find cover!" But the Bocause, those dense hedgerows, traps them as much as protects. A young grenadier, Private Erich Baum, 19 from Berlin, clings to a tank hull. He's thinking of his sweetheart's last letter when a rocket slams nearby, shrapnel tearing into his leg. He falls, screaming, blood soaking the dirt. Comrades drag him to a ditch, but the planes circle back. "Why no fighters?" Eric asks to his sergeant. The answer is bitter. The Luftwaffe's 300 planes in Normandy are scattered, fuel low, facing 11,000 Allied aircraft. Hitler's oversight pushing daylight without air supremacy turns the advance into slaughter. By 10 a.m., 40 tanks burn, their hulks blocking paths. Surviving crews push on, hearts heavy with loss. Imagine Carl in Hans's tank, traversing the gun frantically. There another one. A Typhoon banks, rockets away. Miss, but the next hits a fuel truck, exploding in a mushroom cloud that engulfs nearby infantry. Men burn alive, their cries piercing the din. Emotional waves crash, fury at commanders, terror for survival, grief for fallen brothers. One Tiger commander, Hauptmann Michael Whitman, famous Black Baron, isn't here, killed days earlier. But his spirit lingers in the SS men who fight on, driven by indoctrinated zeal. Yet even they waver as the sky darkens with planes. Noon approaches, the sun beating down on the carnage. U.S. 30th Infantry Division, the old Hickory boys from stateside farms and cities, hold their line with grim determination. Sergeant Tom Riley, a New York Irishman, mans a bazooka in a foxhole. He's seen buddies die on Omaha Beach, vows no more retreats. "Here they come," he mutters, as a Panther lumbers into view. Scarred but defiant. Tom aims, fires the rocket arcs, striking the tracks. The tank slews immobilized. American artillery joins, 105mm shells raining down, but air power dominates. Johnny Baldwin scores again, his rockets gutting a column of 17th SS Panzergrenadiers. "Target rich," he radios. Voice steady but eyes haunted by the destruction below. Round reports flood von Kluge's HQ. Heavy losses, air attacks unrelenting. The field marshal paces, sweat beading despite the cool bunker. "Mein Führer, we must withdraw." He pleads via teletype. Hitler's response: attack, no retreat. Ego overrides reality, costing lives. In those hours, 100 more tanks fall, Panthers flipped, Tigers gutted. A medic, Feldwebel and a Schultzes, women served too, though rarely mentioned, dashes through fire to aid the wounded. She binds Eric's leg, her hand steady, whispering, "Hold on, lad, for home." But a strafing run catches her. She falls, lifeless, her sacrifice in vain. Stories like hers tug at the heart ordinary humanity amid mechanized horror. The toll mounts 175 tanks by 2 p.m., half the force. Not just metal lost, but dreams shattered. Hans's Panther takes a glancing hit. Wilhelm is wounded, blood splattering the interior. "I'm scared, sir," the boy whimpers. Hans, fighting tears, replies, "We all are, but we fight for each other." They abandon the tank, scrambling to an orchard under withering fire. Allied pilots like Canadian Ace Dave McIntosh of No. 2045 Squadron press attacks, their Typhoons dancing death. Dave thinks of his wife back in Toronto, the child he'll never meet if he falls. Each rocket is personal avenging fallen comrades. On the ground, American Private First Class Leroy Jenkins, a black soldier in a segregated unit, though integrated in combat here, spots German survivors. He could shoot but sees their terror, holds fire. "They're just kids like us," he later writes. Moments of compassion flicker in the inferno, but the mistake's consequences cascade. Lost fuel depots mean stalled vehicles, destroyed artillery silences support. The advance grinds to halt, Mortain a Pyrrhic victory. Patton exploits, his tanks racing unchecked. Falaise Pocket looms where 50,000 Germans will die or surrender. As afternoon wanes, attacks ease, but scars remain. Von Kluge, broken, swallows poison weeks later, whispering regrets. Hans survives, captured, spends years in POW camps pondering that daylight push. One order, he tells interrogators, and it all crumbled. Eric lives too, leg amputated, haunted by Anna's face. Johnny Baldwin returns to base, racks empty, soul heavier. This battle isn't tactics alone, it's souls entangled in war's web. Pride, fear, love emotions, raw and real. Visualize the fields. Twisted metal glowing red, smoke curling like ghosts, survivors staggering amid the dead. Cinematic in its tragedy, like a film where heroes fall not to villains, but hubris. But what if? If night had shrouded them longer or Luftwaffe risen? War prolonged, more lives lost? History's what-ifs chill the spine. Wrapping this epic, lessons endure, overreach invites ruin. If moved, comment your biggest World War II heartbreak, share with friends, spark remembrance. Thanks for journeying through what forgotten battle calls next. Stay tuned.